Huntivore Podcast, where we discuss catching, cutting, and cooking from the wild. No egos, no status, just the pursuit of organic protein and a love for wild, natural creation. Bluegill, episode 2.
Yes.
We just cooked up a whole mess of this stuff.
We did. A lot of it is what I'm calling the freezer treasure. Because I did not put a date on it. But that's okay. It looked okay. It smelled okay.
So far as it's coming out, it tastes really good.
It does taste okay. And we were not able to wait.
No. So we got freezer treasure.
Freezer treasure.
And that is boneless, skinless.
Yes. So
we also got fresh caught.
That goodness. Caught today.
Boneless, skin on.
Yes.
That's our third category. And our final category, the pig kahuna. Actually, the little kahuna that we decided that we're going to go whole body.
It turns out when you put the pressure on yourself to catch fish for a podcast, they don't like to bite as well, and so you do what you can. And it's the little kahuna, but it came out nice. It came out real nice.
It did. I learned that from an old guy, skin on, and then challenged me to do whole body.
I have caught probably somewhere between 1 and 17 million bluegills. And I don't believe I've ever done full body.
You haven't done full body.
I have not.
We're still talking about fish, right?
Yeah. I hope so.
Bo, Dustin, let's back up a quick bit.
Yep.
So we got all this fish. We're cooked it up.
Yep.
But we haven't talked about how you catch it.
Yeah.
Talk to me about...
Hold on. I got to eat a bit.
Okay.
You tee it up while I'm eating this because I'm not waiting.
Gotcha. Talk to me about setup. Talk to me about finding the fish. Bluegills, they're pretty much like, this is what you start out on. Am I right?
Basic equipment setup. So a basic fishing pole is all you need. 6 foot around that length. A spin cast or spinning setup with some monofilament. So that's a 2 pound to 6 pound fishing line is where I would stick to for bluegills. And if I was new to it, I would stick with 6 pound just because it's more forgiving. And if the fish are pickier, that's why you would go to the smaller size. But if you're new into it, 6 pound monofilament on a regular 6 foot, $20, $30 fishing combo that you can get it wherever your store is at will get you everything you need to go. And then go with live bait setup. It's going to be the easiest way to get started into it. And it's the old school, seen it on a movie, bobber, sinker, hook. So there's a bunch of different kinds of bobbers out there. They all work. A simple one is one that has a spring on it. So if it says slip bobber, that's another style of bobber. I wouldn't go with that right away. That's one for more complicated setups. So just go with a basic spring style bobber. And then go with a hook that's called an Aberdeen hook. So it's just a long shanked hook, and it'll have numbers on it. The numbers indicate the size. Somewhere around a number 6 or number 8 Aberdeen hook, and that is really all you need to get started bluegill fishing. You can go out there. There's a lot of resources out there. The internet is beautiful. That's basically all you need.
So my little boy's Mickey Mouse rod and reel is just going to slay the gills.
The Mickey Mouse rod does a great job on the gills. I mean, you set that thing up with the bobber, a nice little sinker, and some live bait, like just a regular leaf worm or a little wax worm that you can get at pretty much any bait store. You are good to go.
Those tins are nice. I like the waxies and the tins, the chew tins, over the big night crawlers. I think I'm over the crawlers.
You know, the advantage of the waxies, well, the chew tins are nice because It's a small canister.
Now, if you chew, don't get them mixed up.
Yeah, no, that'd be...
Somehow flag your wax and know which one's your chaw.
Yeah. I think most chew guys are probably experts at this. I don't know. That's anecdotal, but I feel like if you're a chewer, like you're an expert pan fisherman. But yes, if you happen to be the chewer that's not, don't mix up the waxies with your chew. And the other cool thing, or the thing that you'll appreciate about the waxworm over the leafworm, is they come in sawdust, so you never have dirty fingers.
Perfect.
Yeah, so easy cleanup. So yeah, stick with basic, live bait, bobber, sinker, hook, monofilament line. Good.
Isn't the limit like 25 a day?
In Michigan, the limit is 25 a day on the bluegills. That will vary widely by whatever state you're in. So it could be as low as 5 depending on the state that you're in.
Mm.
But yes, in Michigan, they're a very abundant fish. We're lucky to have a ton of lakes and a ton of bluegills in them. They're very rapid producers, so they can sustain a ton of fishing pressure. Actually, if they're not fished and the body of water is not large enough, they'll become what's called stunted. And it's similar to the aquarium concept where the fish doesn't grow as large as it might just based on the limiting capacity of competition in the water that it's in. So because of that, we can go out and be very generous and eat hearty meals of these small fish like we have in front of us here.
I was going to say, we got a ton of fillets here.
You don't have to worry about damaging the resource because it's such a robust resource that we get these generous limits.
Now, I got a fish. Got it in the boat or on the dock. We're still going to fish for a while. I want good, solid eatery. What do I do with this fish now?
This is critical and easy to make a mistake. So if you have a live well set up in your boat that has air all set up in it and you happen to have that, run that system. If you don't, best way to go, in my opinion, is just a cooler with a bunch of ice. You can go with water in a bucket, but if it's a hot day out, you can have that water get warmer and warmer and the fish expire early, and then you're going to really have poor meat quality. If you just have a cooler half full of, a good bag of ice, you throw that on there, they're going to expire on that ice, so you won't have the flipping fish when you get to the fillet portion of it. The meat's going to stay good. You're never going to have to worry about that water getting too warm because it's a bunch of ice. So that's a super easy way to go and what I would recommend.
In many cases, you've already got the cooler with beer out there with you.
This is true.
You're taking care of the beer. Take care of your fish.
Yes.
It's okay to mix the two.
It is. I have done that. My coolers are usually dedicated for beers and fish. Potentially beers and bait. I do have a cooler called the beers and bait cooler because I also like to take care of my live fishy bait too. It's to take care of it all.
Take care of it all. Ice cooler is going to be a necessity.
You keep everything cold.
Excellent. So now I got it back home. Yep. I got this fish. We need to get the fillets off. Talk to me about how you specifically lay out the fillets.
All right. Well, I could go into great detail describing this, but I won't. I'll save you, the listeners out there. There's lots of great videos out there. But basically what I do is do a skinless, boneless method where you cut the fillet right off, back behind the head and out the tail. You take that off, you remove the ribs, and then you slice down and take the skin off, and you have yourself a fillet right there that's completely ready to go. Just quick rinse off, and you can throw it in your batter and ready to go in the fryer.
Our setup tonight, we had 3 different kinds. We had skin-on fillet that we descaled, filleted like you talked about, but left the skin on.
Yeah.
We did a whole fish, scaled it, took the head off, gutted it, but now it's got the rib cage still on there. Both proclaim to have the taste from the old guys. Why do the skinless boneless method?
The skinless, boneless method is all about efficiency. So if you're sitting there and you have the generous limits that you do in the state of Michigan, and you happen to limit out, and you have a 3 or 4 person limit, a 3-person limit, 75 fish, 150 fillets, and it's late at night, you want to be able to get through that fish and keep it cool and keep that consistency good. So it's all about keeping that efficiency going. So that's why you would go with that method. It is the fastest method out there. If you have a few less and you have the luxury, or if the temperatures permit, then that skin-on method is a great way to go too.
Gotcha. It's like a quantity versus quality. You know,
It is.
You get a lot of them, you got to get it done. You got the oil hot.
Yeah.
You got to get these cleaned out. If you're going to end up storing them in a bag, you got a party coming up later in the week, or you want to store them up for another fry, that's where we can spend a little time on them.
Yes. And either way, you're going from like, oh my gosh, this is the most amazing thing that I've ever had, to, oh my gosh, this is probably pretty close to the most amazing thing I've ever had. So it's good. Either way, it's good. So you're not like really messing yourself up or taking something away from yourself by going the efficient method. But if you really want to go that extra mile and get everything out of it and go for max flavor, and you got the time and the conditions are right, yeah, leaving that skin on is real good. Hey, Nick, tell me something about bluegills so I can eat more.
Gotcha. Bluegills, that's where I got my start. That's where I really like, this is the reason why I like fishing, is for the eating aspect of it. My waistline will tell you that bluegill is definitely my favorite. Recently, like almost researching for this podcast, I knew how to fry bluegill one way, but I was like, we gotta cover everything. We gotta figure out different ways that guys can fry these up. So I asked a couple old guys, and I just said, tell me about bluegills. And I learned that taking the skin off is almost a no-no. You're supposed to leave the skin on.
No, you say.
A no-no.
Is that an old guy thing, you think?
I definitely think it's an old guy thing.
My dad is in the old guy category, and he's definitely a skin-on guy.
Yeah. So leaving that skin on equals flavor. That's what I was told. There's an even older group of guys that do the fish full on. I'm looking here at basically the tail end of a full fish. Fins, skin, bones on the inside. And you're told to just fry it up as is.
I've heard of this on the internet, but I've never done such a bold thing.
So we've got this guy here, and I've been told flavor is where it's at. You do got to pick through the bones. That's the one downside, is you do got to pick.
A little bone.
But I'm hoping, and I know the Mike will pick this up, I've been told the fins are like bacon.
I hope the mic only picks up the fins and not the other eating that I've been doing.
You want a bit of back fin, or can I take the
Go
others?
after it.
After it?
Everything you hoped and dreamed for?
Those old guys don't lie.
They don't lie.
It definitely has bacon-esque taste.
Bacon-esque, really?
Here, take a dorsal. There are some bones on the back of that. Heads up.
You can get after some dorsal here.
And?
It's an acquired taste.
Acquired? I think I got it. This is good stuff.
Well, you are the guy that pops, roe.
West Michigan roe?
Yeah.
That's a new one.
Whatever that was.
Dustin discovers fish with roe in it. Egg sacs.
Yeah, eggs.
Can't be any
Spawn.
different than sturgeon.
It can be a lot different than sturgeon, actually.
As the one who ingested it,
Yes.
it wasn't horrible. It was actually really good.
I was surprised. I thought I was going to get a gag out of that, but no. There was no negative effects.
Definitely party trick.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm piecing away The skin is definitely flaking off this rib cage and these backbones. Picking is not very difficult on this fish.
Meanwhile, I'm over here downing freezer treasures.
And that's all right.
I'm a little jealous.
You want in?
No, give me a little something.
Look at this. Look at this. Just peeling off. I'm leaving the rib cage.
Splitting right apart.
Yeah. So the process in which we got all this delicious meal is we simply went fry style.
Yeah.
That's not to say that's the only way. So I will acknowledge that there is the grill, there's the oven, there's a lot of different ways to get really quality, good panfish.
Yeah, this is a way, and this is probably...
I would say 90% of panfish is done fry style.
Yeah.
We got 2 types of breading tonight. We got cornmeal and flour. And then we had straight flour. Again, that's not to say that's the only route that you can go. That's just what we had on hand.
Yeah, there's a lot of shake and bake or stuff that you can get at your local grocery store that says fish on the side of it. And it's got different spices and stuff in there. You can find a bunch of different bold spices, but we went with the basic.
We went with the basic. And I got a theory. Your frying kills all your spices. In spices, you're looking for the oils, you're looking for the small, minute flavors that are in that spice. As soon as you drop that into 350-degree oil, all that spice happening is burnt up. It's gone. You don't taste pepper off the grill. You add your pepper after it's off the grill for the reason that you just zap it. Salt being a mineral, that will survive it. That's going to come out in your flavor. I say you add spice after you fry.
After, you do say?
I'm saying there's got to be a shake. There's got to be something you put on. If you did a wet batter, I could see you adding in flavor. A dry batter, I'm going to say no season.
There's going to be a difference in flavor with some of those off-the-shelf batters. But it's not going to be this intense, significant difference. But there will be a difference. And whether that's just some sort of binding agent that's sticking along for the ride, I've never really analyzed it. I've just eaten it. Mm-hmm. So one guy's opinion. But there is a way to really change the flavor profile. And tartar sauce.
What tartar sauce? You have eaten almost all of it.
This tartar sauce that came out in a bucket and is now ending, which Nick's trying to get back in after it because I've just been going after it. This custom-made tartar sauce. So, break down what would be what goes in the classic tartar sauce, and then what goes in the amazing kicked up tartar sauce that we're having here tonight.
Gotcha. I didn't know, as of a couple of years ago, that tartar sauce is just mayo and pickles. That kind of blew my mind.
Did we learn that at the same moment?
I think we did.
Because that really did blow my mind.
It was just 2 ingredients.
Like, what?
Exactly. I like mayo on my sandwich, and I like pickles all the time, and it just combined 2 things that I like.
Yeah.
So, excuse me as I bite. So I did a little, again, internet research, and there are 100 different ways to make the same product. You're skinning a cat 900 ways. You're making tartar sauce 900 ways. But they all... It didn't come out as simple as what I was hoping. So I decided this afternoon to whip up my own and I will definitely put the recipe in the show notes, so check that out.
I thought we were going to sell the recipe.
No, this will be a freebie.
All right, fine. It's good.
Anyway.
It's good.
Mayo, pickles. Here's what you got to do with the pickles. It's got to be knife chopped. You can't use a food processor.
Why not?
Food processor's going to bleed it. You're going to end up with a mash, and you're going to end up with liquid, and it's not going to be a good consistency.
No good.
Knife, I used, they were baby dills, and I chopped up about a quarter cup of them. And so we got good, nice chunks of pickle in there. You do add a little pickling liquid. That's not to say you can't have any liquid in there.
What size pickled chunk would you call that? I'm trying to come up with a size there, a reference point.
I would say a very chunky relish. Not chunky relish, very chunky.
Very chunky.
I'm hoping that reference is enough.
Or like chunky salsa. Like
yeah.
The chunks in a chunky salsa. If you go there and you got the Tostitos extra chunk, that's what I'm looking at right here. Which is nice because less knife chopping.
Yeah. So yeah, pickling liquid in there. I did add lemon juice. That adds a little bit of kick in there. And then to add the spice in, I started 1/8 of a teaspoon at a time. I added cayenne pepper. 1/8 of a teaspoon at a time. Don't go more than 1/8 of a teaspoon at a time.
Yeah. Good advice.
That stuff's like, there's nitroglycerin and then there's cayenne pepper.
It's got the power.
Mm-hmm.
You mastered the level of correct power.
Oh, yeah. That kick is just enough that you either need to drink your beer or you need another piece of fish. And it just keeps you coming back for more.
That's where you need to be.
We got back up. We didn't even talk about frying.
We did not. We didn't talk. Did we talk about? We got to talk about cleaning the fillet process.
We mentioned we got 3 different ways.
We did, but we didn't talk about kind of the knife work. About what we did there, which is probably a really brief.
Pretty important aspect.
It's important. It's not going to be a long one. And then the frying is important. So, this will start with the cutlery. It's pretty easy. You just search for fillet knife, and industry has made it pretty easy on you. You can spend a whole bunch of money. There's company out there, Wusthof, if I'm saying it right. Entry in that arena is probably $100. It's a good knife. That's what I have in my hand right now. And if you do this a lot, it's a good knife, but you don't need it. $15, $10, somewhere in that range. What you're looking for is a blade around 6 inches, plus or minus. I would say if it's 7 inches, you're probably at the max end for a fish like a bluegill. So that would be your blade length. And if it says fillet knife on it, it should have a decent flex to it. The less expensive knives are probably going to flex a little bit more. And that sometimes can be an advantage on a small fish like a bluegill, just feeling your way with a knife. So if you're just getting into it, don't worry about spending a lot of money on a knife. Just go find, there's a bunch of brands out there. Rapala, Rapala, makes one. They've been making it for decades. Your granddaddy probably used it, and it's still a great one today.
I'll do you one better. I used a Dexter 6-inch boning knife coming out of the butchery world. I use that sucker for just about everything. You can break down big animal to even the littlest bluegill. Semi-flex, it's a little stiff. But when I was doing the skin on and the whole body filleting, I used that same knife to take off all those scales. I was really impressed with how easy those things came off. It's like they wanted to be removed.
It was a pretty nice process. They came off. I was impressed. I've never even attempted the scaling in that method before, so it worked great.
Yeah, that little semi-flex boning knife did the trick. Took off all those scales. It does make a mess, so you do have to wash everything up, keep it clean. We did that on a little fillet table. You'll see that in the pictures as well. So we got them scaled out. The process of taking the head off, because I wanted to keep that rib cage in that full body fillet, I ran that knife right up to the top of the shoulder, almost the top of the head of the fish. As soon as I felt flesh, I just dug in. There's that little nook of meat that I've been told that you want to be able to save that, and so that's where I started. So, and literally just using the tip or using your blade and running that not necessarily to the gill plate, but along the gill plate, and it's almost a straight down cut. If you do angle towards the head a little more, you're going to get more of those little morsels that are hanging out near the gills. But it's almost like that head just wants to pop off. You just run your blade straight down.
So not a intense amount of pressure.
No.
Assuming you have a good sharp knife.
Exactly. That's going to be your key, is to make sure that knife's sharp. Having a steel handy, making sure you're taking care of your fillet knives. That's going to be key.
Which I committed. I'm too busy to keep my knife sharp sin tonight, and I did run it on the steel. But she is past the point of where the steel really brings her back where she needs to be. So my knife cuts were not where they wanted them to be. That's definitely super important. If you have a good sharp knife, it's going to make everything. It's going to be safer, and it's going to just be a lot easier on you.
Because you brought the fish tonight, I'm going to let that slide, Dustin.
I appreciate it.
So we got our fillets.
A lot of them.
A lot of fillets.
I'm hitting a fish wall here.
Our breading, I think we mentioned that already. We had a straight flour. We had a cornmeal and flour mix. And we put it into a high temp oil. There's several types of oils you can use for that. The king right now is peanut oil, although that crown is beginning to tarnish because there's a lot of people that are allergic.
Yeah, nobody wants to have the party and have the peanut oil, and nobody knows. And have the peanut allergy show up. You lose cool status in a hurry that way.
You do. So there's a couple other ones out there. Canola is a good one. That's a cheap one. You can get that grocery store.
Did you know that you can run canola oil in an outboard motor?
So you fry it, and then you can go catch more fish.
Well, if you happen to be in a backcountry type lake where you've hiked in with a old Johnson 2-horse motor on your back, and you forget the appropriate motor oil that's supposed to accompany the motor that you have. If you substitute canola oil, not only will it keep the motor from seizing, smells like French fries while you're on the water. You can take that to the bank. It works. You can take that to the bank. Been there, done that. It will work. It wasn't necessarily me. It was my dad and his buddy, a couple of pilot gearheads, and they were confident in it, and it worked. So sorry to interject on the oil conversation.
No, I didn't know that. I'm saving my canola oil. I'm gonna run it through my truck. Saving pennies, pinching dollars, saving pennies.
There you go.
No, the oil of choice we're using tonight is neither of those two, but it is soy oil.
Soy.
Made here in the great state of Michigan, over on the west side. The soy, high temp, just like your canola and your peanut.
Peanut.
Just like both of those. You get a high temp so that you can get that oil just smoking so that you can put the fish in and it'll cook very quickly. However, the soy has very minimal taste to it.
Yes.
You can pick up the peanut oil especially.
Yes.
You can sort of pick up the canola oil. If we had to go good, better, best, it would definitely be the good peanut better canola, best soy in my book.
The thing you want to stay away from is like an olive oil, EVOO, and any olive oil that you got. The big difference is what's critical with frying fish is getting that temperature up. 350 to 400 degrees. I think we were at 375 was the max out on the little deep fryer. Super critical. If you don't have good hot oil, you're going to have mushy, no fun fish. So if you want that good crisp, which everybody does, you're going to want to have hot oil. And if you have olive oil, it has a different smoke temperature. So if you get it up to the temperature that you need, you're going to have a mess on your hands. So even if you got it in your house and that's all you have, go to the store and get anything but olive oil.
Now, how long you say we put these in for?
We were filling up the basket on these guys, and I would say we were in there for 4 minutes, maybe a little more. Well, it depends. That big one, the one that was the full fish, definitely had to go for a second ride.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have a timer on it. You just kind of know.
I think 4 minutes is awful long.
You think so?
I think we were in it probably 2.5, 3 minutes.
You know what it was?
What?
I was real hungry. And
that theory of relativity at that point?
Yeah, and I do a timer on the grill when I'm doing meat on the grill, any red meat, really anything like that. I'm real good on the timer. I guess I've been doing the fish so long, I just feel it. Like I can be across the room and I just kind of know. So yeah, don't do 4 minutes.
That's a little long. You're gonna dry them off.
I bet that big one went in because we did the second dunk on the.
We did do the second
fish.
dunk. Yeah, I'd say 4 minutes on that. But you got to get through. You're looking at basically two fillets stacked on one another. You got to get to the middle of that bone.
Yeah.
All the way through, and like as we pulled it out, it went in for 4 minutes, but that meat was just peeling off, and it was juicy.
You want a flake. You want a good crust on the outside. You want a good flake, a good white meat in the middle. If you see it's gray or looks any like translucent at all, it's not done. So if it looks bright white and it may have like little lines in it, that's totally fine. The general color of the flesh is white and you got a good crisp to it, you've done it right.
Nice.
And then the other thing, paper towel is your friend with really any frying. Just gets that excess oil off there and keeps that crisp up so you don't have soggy mush pies.
Mm-hmm.
Even after they've been sitting there for a significant amount of time like we have right here. They've lost a little bit of the crisp. We're past maximum awesome stage, but they're still holding up all right.
They are. We do still have a mess of them to finish up.
Yes,
we've got to mop up the rest of that tartar sauce. So I think we're going to wrap this up too. But Dustin, give me a couple takeaways that you're getting from our talk here tonight.
1, it's delicious. 2, it's super easy and fun. So go try it. And 3, most importantly, it's delicious. What are you, Nick?
Good. Takeaway number 1, you can run canola oil through your boat motor and be okay.
Yep.
I'm sure the extended use of that probably wouldn't be good.
Yeah, I don't know about like every day, all day, swapping it out, but you got a good hard run.
Yes. Number 2, leaving skin on and doing whole fish is good. But as I learned with watching you cut tonight, going just the fillet of cutting it off the bone, cutting off the skin, very efficient, very fast.
It's max efficiency, and when you're sitting at a pile of limits, a 4-man Michigan limit, yeah, you want to go fast.
Quantity versus quality, take that into consideration.
Yes.
And number 3, anybody can do this. The
That's a
only
fact.
way you can screw it up is by not frying some bluegill.
This is true. My 1.5-year-old helped me tonight. So, anybody can do this.
Anybody can fish them. Anybody can cook them.
Yeah.
Well, hey, we're going to finish these up. We're going to sign off here.
We got some
Folks,
work to do.
have a good night. Thank you, folks, for listening to us. Sorry we didn't have any leftover bluegills for you to enjoy, but we do appreciate you joining in all the way through. Dustin, where can people find more of our downloaded podcast?
We're on Podcast Addict for your Android users, and we're on iTunes for the Apple users. We're also working on getting on Stitcher and Google Play Music. We know we're not there yet. We're working on that actively. And if there is another place, a place where you get your podcast, let us know, and we'll look into that and make sure we're in those spaces as well. Reach out to us anyway, social media or huntivore@gmail.com, and we'll get working right on that for you.
Yeah, leave us a rating and tell us what you think so far. Appreciate it.